You know what I thought was really, really interesting? And I pointed this out to Ahmed, who was sitting next to me during the game. When the Pacers were down 8-3, what did you see Rick Carlisle do? Stop the bleeding. Because right now it's a paper cut, but if I let this go in, we're going to bleed to death. And next thing you know, Indiana goes on like a 27-8 run or some shit like that. And then you call the timeout. Are you kidding me?
They went on a 26-2 run.
You can't do that, coach. You can't do that.
They're learning. What they're learning to do is lose and like get used to losing. If Joe wants them to learn, they're learning the wrong thing, which is how to continue to play really bad, look around at each other and wonder who's going to save us from this. And the answer is nobody, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. It's I don't know.
His overall job so far has been great. Not trying to crap on him, he's done a hell of a job. But he has to do better at getting a pulse for when he needs to stop the bleeding before his team dies. There is no reason in the world when you come into a game and you've lost 5 out of 6 or 4 out of 5. You're 4 out of 5 coming in here. And you're getting down by double digits at home by a team that's basically, sub 500? Yeah, they're a game below 500. You've got to stop that before it gets out of hand. You have to.
It's strange.
You have to.
I've talked about this before with different people, how like I'm always stunned where like how an NFL coach won't be able to manage a clock in late game situations. And I've always wondered, why don't they hire just one nerd, to just sit there on the sideline and you got 87,000 coordinators, one guy to simply be like, you should call a timeout now and you should call the second one after the 2-minute warning and just tell them how to manage the clock and leave it there. Joe needs a timeout specialist. He just needs a guy to be like, yeah, this is it. This is the time. Okay. And you do the rest, just somebody else. Just call the timeout.
Especially when you're on a losing skid like this, because every possession matters even more so when you're trying to get back right. You're trying to get on track. And again, I just thought he left it in the hands of folks who've shown the last 5 games they just don't quite have that in them right now. They still have it in them, but they just don't have it right now. And that's where you as a coach have to intervene. And again, when you're getting down early like that, it's more or less a paper cut or a slight prick. But if you let it just keep bleeding out, you're going to die.
Yeah.
You're going to lose. And it felt like this was a game where they needed an intervention much sooner than they got it.
Speaking of slight prick, Jimmy wanted to say something.
Wow. I actually forget what I was going to say. But originally what I was going to say was this was an exact game from last year. Go down big.
Yeah.
Spend the rest of the game trying to claw your way back into it. Make it look close in the end, but ultimately come up short, falling into bad habits that they fell into last year by not playing team basketball, not working the ball around. They're not getting out really in transition because they're not getting stops the way they were. And I don't know like you said, I don't know what's going on with Derek White, but it's certainly not just him. I mean, it feels like their depth is just completely shot right now. Again, I liked what I saw from Tatum in that second half. As soon as he got hit in the face, and they didn't call it, it was like a switch flipped on him, and he turned into the Hulk for the rest of the game. But it shouldn't take something like that, and it shouldn't take that long for your MVP player to go into beast mode like that. I mean, really, Aaron Nesmith's running up and down the court. Prior to that, looking like trying to act like he's running the show. Aaron Nesmith needed to be reminded who Aaron Nesmith was, and Jason Tatum reminded him with that dunk. But at that point, I mean, the Pacers already have their mojo going, and one play like that isn't going to swing the game. Sure, like you said, or John, whoever said it, Mazzulla needs a timeout guy. I mean, I don't know how we can't kind of read the energy and read the room in a situation like that. We've seen this a number of times now, and I know that he wants the Celtics to figure it out on their own out there. I don't know about that. I don't know about that strategy. I think like you're the coach. There's a whole staff. You guys are being paid so that you can help them figure it out. You're watching it from a third perspective. You're not in the middle of the game. You're watching it from the sidelines. You can see things that some of the players might not be able to figure out until you call that timeout and tell them, hey, this is what they're doing every time down. This is what we should be able to do to counter that. Let's go back out there and X, Y, Z. Don't let them figure it out on the fly.
Well, I mean, Jimmy, I agree to you to a certain extent. I think there's a balance that you have to strike between giving them the flexibility and freedom to just learn in game and you being able to put your imprint on what they're doing and what's not happening out there with your team. Because at the end of the day, as a head coach, that's your responsibility. And
Right.
it's great to empower players and let them figure it out. But at some point, you've got to remind everyone in the damn building and everyone on that damn sideline why you're the head coach. And I think there are too many games where you come away thinking, what exactly is his role again? And again, I think for the most part, he's done a good job.
You should want to call a couple of timeouts.
Yeah, for the most part, he's done a really good job. But to me, I think what you saw tonight was a textbook example of what happens when you have a veteran, savvy, championship-minded coach understanding how, look, I can't worry about what happens in the playoffs or getting to the finals. I've got to worry about game number 32. I've got to figure out a way to win this game. And that's what Rick Carlisle did. I mean, like I said, they got down 8-3 and boom, shut it down. He's not going to let his team get blown out the doors from
Carlisle was
outside.
calling timeouts. Every time the Celtics went on a bit of a run, he would call a timeout, and do whatever he could to sort of stop that momentum.
That's when you have a pulse for your team. That's having a pulse for your team. And again, Joe has done a lot of good things with these guys, but I still don't think he's quite mastered a pulse for when he needs to do that and when he needs to let them play through it.
Well, also, we're going to find out real quick, John. We're going to find out.
No, go ahead.
How is Mazzulla going to handle adversity? This is the first stretch of it, and so far, I can't say it's been great. I mean, I don't know what happened in Golden State, but since that game, I don't know if they've been able to they're still reeling. I don't know if anyone's been able to sort of bring them back to earth here.
It seems like there's that they took a blow to their confidence and they have not been able to recover. And I'm saying they because it's not just one or two guys. It's many of them. Tatum and Brown are going to be confident regardless, but the guys around them, they don't look the same. They don't have the same swagger. They don't. When they step out on the floor, it seems like there's a seed of doubt that's been planted in their mind that they haven't been able to uproot yet. They don't look like they expect to go out there and make great things happen like they did, 2-3 weeks ago. And that's disturbing. That's really disturbing.
So my 2 cents on it is the timeout stuff is a no-brainer, and it's really low-hanging fruit, and it's easy for us to grab on it. Not that we're, not to discredit people's opinions on the matter. It's real. I think everybody will agree on he's got to take control of these in-game situations. I think in-game is where you're going to see sometimes coaches get out-coached when they can't adjust or someone else makes adjustments ahead of them or whatever. And obviously you've seen it a couple of times with guys like Spoelstra. Literally he's calling timeouts on 2-0 runs. I don't like the way it's going. I didn't like that possession. I don't want to see another one like it. I'm calling a timeout.
Right.
It's a different style. If Joe's playing a long game and the idea is down the road. I'm not saying this to be a contrarian. If Joe's playing a long game and the idea is I don't care if we drop a few now. I want them to be ready mentally to handle some real shit later on. And it actually worked. We'd be looking back on this and saying, it's not bad they took their lumps because they can really play through some tough times now. Maybe that did help. So I don't know that that's a thing. I disagree with it personally. I think the coach's job is to settle the players. They're out there. They're doing everything they can. Sometimes shit gets away from them. And from the coach, you got to have the 30,000-foot view and say, I think this is what you need right now. Yeah. You might not see it. I can see it. This is what you need. That being said, I still think the coach is about 1% of the reason why you win or lose games. I think, it's every time we slice up blame pie.
One's a little low.
3%, whatever. This they got their asses handed to them by playing like assholes for an entire game, and everything that happened in the second half is a bunch of empty calories. When teams go up 30, they coast. You come back, that's fine. A team shooting 60% and a half is going to cool off naturally. That's what happens. They're not going to keep beating you by 30. That's the ball game. That's just how it's going to go. So I don't think they did anything well. I think the players just came out and played horribly. And it's on them, and it's always going to be on them first. They got to figure their shit out.